Hey guys, what's up? This is Mel, and I'm back to talk about The Flash, this time episode 211, titled The Reverse Flash Returns, which premiered on the CW Tuesday, January 26, 2016. And as you can tell, I'm back to the audio recordings for you guys, because while it was fun doing the videos last week, I definitely won't do them often because, one, it pretty much doubles the rendering time I have, and then doubles the uploading time it takes as well. So I'm definitely going to plan out when I'm going to do those videos, but let's just say for now, I'm going to stick to audio for sure, unless it's some special occasion. So just to get that out of the way, thank you guys for watching the, visual videos that I put last week. It means a lot to me to know that you came back to hear what I have to say for the rest of the season. So with that being said, remember, I haven't read the comics yet, so any thoughts, opinions, anything like that are all of my own based on what I see on the screen. So with that said, let's start my 10-minute clock and let's begin. So something new that we learned in this episode, Eobard Thawne from the future, aka the Reverse Flash, returns. For us, he returns, but apparently this is the first time he's visiting this specific time period. Apparently the way Dr. Wells explains is that his visit, Eobard Thawne's visit to this point in time, is his origin story of where he learned about the Flash and all the people working with him and stuff like that. And we actually got to learn a bit about Eobard Thawne's history in itself and why he became obsessed with the Flash. He even tried to become the Flash himself. He even recreated the whole particle accelerator explosion so that he can get the Speed Force. But then when he realized that he would never become the Flash, he decided to become the reverse of that, being everything that the Flash wasn't, hence the Reverse Flash. So it was really great to get that part of the origin story after learning what we did about him last season. Another thing we learned in this episode is the fact that Cisco explores his vibe vision powers, not only with the help of new gear, for sure, but we also learned a few of the side effects, which was pretty surprising in itself, and I'll return to that later. Another new thing that we learned is Caitlin's idea to save Jay Garrick, and that is to find his Earth 1 doppelganger in hopes that the Earth 1 Jay has his healthy cells that she can use to inject into Earth 2 sick Jay, since they are technically the same being, so it's not like it's a foreign genetic material entering in, being mixed like a blood transfusion or any other type of transfusion, stuff like that. Anyways, it didn't really go so well. Not only do they find Jay Garrick, and surprisingly, he has a different name, and it's actually Hunter Solomon, and Jay Garrick explains that he went to find his doppelganger when he first came to Earth, to our Earth, and explained that the changed name is because he was adopted by the Solomon family and grew up with the new name. But also the doppelganger theory wouldn't work because Jay Garrick his body was changed because of the particle accelerator explosion, while Hunter Solomon, his doppelganger, did not have that experience, so he would still technically be normal. So the transfer of cells from healthy to sick or vice versa wouldn't do much good, since they're not basically of the same host, I guess you could say. I don't know. What I really liked, though, is the whole fact that we actually got to see his doppelganger, even if it was just for a brief moment. But actually, when they kept saying that they couldn't find his doppelganger, I had two thoughts. Either he was dead, Earth 1 doppelganger was dead, or the second option was that Jay Garrick, Earth 2, had changed his name or faked his name, gave us a false identity, and therefore hiding something from us, but it turns out to be the other way around, so there's that. Another new thing that we learned is that we got to see Francine West again, and this time she's on her deathbed. So that brings in Wally and Iris West saying their final goodbyes to their mom and also getting closer to one another in this tragic event for their family. And Eddie was actually brought up by Iris and how he was sadly killed or he suddenly died last year. So she brought that up in relation to what was happening with her, their mom slowly dying. So there's that. And another thing we learned was that this episode showed the final days for Patty being in Central City. And I'll definitely get more into that later on, but it's definitely not a happy few days between Barry and Patty for sure. So most shocking moment of the episode was it has to be Cisco fading out. Apparently, one of the time paradox type things was happening. So because they captured Eobard Thong messing with the time period, Cisco suffered the consequences by fading in and out of existence. I don't know why it was only Cisco specifically that was experiencing this, or if it's because of his power specifically, and that's why he was the only one experiencing the shift. But apparently because they captured Eobard Thong, he wasn't able to go to the future. That means he's not able to go back to the past, to the time he killed Nora, therefore disrupting the current timeline that Barry and Co. are on at the very moment. Even though all this time travel stuff is still getting to me. So there's that. I was actually surprised that we actually saw Cisco actually fading out of existence, which was kind of scary in itself. So with that said, top 3 favorite moments. First one has to be, and it keeps growing with every episode that passes, it has to be the dynamic between Cisco and Dr. Wells from Earth 2. I don't care if I doubt Wells's alliance or his allegiance or loyalties or any of that. There's no denying the chemistry and the dynamic and the love-hate thing going on between Cisco and Wells, because they definitely have a annoyance for each other. They definitely have an appreciation for their intelligence, yet the whole mixed history type thing definitely causes some hatred, resentment, and stuff like that. But their wit, their banter, their just their mini quotes to one another, the fact that they can finish each other's sentences, they're thinking on the same wavelength a lot, most of the time, helping each other out. I really like how it's going between the two. It's more, the way I see it, the relationship we saw between these two characters in season 1, although it was Eobard Thong, that one you definitely see more of mentor and protege or father-son type thing between those two. But in this one, I'm definitely getting a big brother, little brother type dynamic, with the whole always fighting, always colliding with ideas, yet coming together and working together. I just really like it. I'm always amused when the two of them are in a scene together. Can't wait to see what witty remarks and retorts are going to make towards each other. I definitely like that for sure. Another favorite moment has to be the new goggles that Cisco got, the Vibe goggles, I guess. It was definitely a very cool look. The way they allowed him to hone in his powers was fantastic to see. I definitely enjoyed that very much, and I hope we see it again in the future, because I really hope those nosebleeds and was just because it was the whole time paradox and not because he was using the goggles. I definitely like the goggle idea. So there's that. Last favorite moment has to be the whole Jay Garrick doppelganger thing. I like the idea of where they're going with that. I hope we get to see the doppelganger again soon. I have a feeling there's a significance. I'll definitely bring it up later on, but I definitely like that we got to see and touch upon the fact that Jay does have a doppelganger, because everyone else who came through the breach, we've already touched upon their doppelganger at some point, except for him. So it was great to see that it was brought up at this point. So top 3 peeved moments, and I can already tell right now I'm just under 2 minutes that left that I'm going to go over. So the first peeved moment has to be Patty. And here's the thing, I have been a Patty Spivot fan, and especially when she's been with Barry and the couple between them, they were great together. Except this episode particularly, it really bugged me about her, because not only was she leaving, and I understand, I got the impression that Patty thought that her and Barry could continue on with a long-distance relationship as she is going to move forward with her CSI education, because it seemed like she didn't want to break it off. She didn't want to end things with Barry, but she just wanted to understand why he was distancing himself, and yet he wasn't giving the option of a long distance relationship happening. So that's one thing that I completely understand on why she wanted to talk to him and everything. Although I get his upset reaction on the fact that she never told him or talked to him about the possibility of her moving, so it was kind of brought him off guard. But the one thing that really irritated me about Patty in this episode was the way she found out about Barry's secret identity. I mean, out of all the time she had to find out about him being the Flash, it had to be the days leading up to her leaving town. I mean, talk about very last minute. I mean, with her being a detective and everything, she even mentioned it that she should have seen it sooner, but like, why did she have to figure out moments before she was leaving? And then I didn't even get it. She even said a quote to Barry about how she wanted him to admit that he was the Flash, and if he did that, then she would stay in town. I truly do not understand how Barry... there's my alarm. I truly do not understand how Barry admitting he's a Flash would be the deciding vote for Patty staying in town. That didn't make sense. Whether he's the Flash or not, Patty should want to stay in town, and it shouldn't be the fact that if you are the Flash, I'm going to stay. If you're not, then I'm going. That's just the vibe I was getting. It seemed more like the fact that she's only going to stay in town and if he's the Flash because she's like some Flash fangirl or something. Like, to me, if Patty was truly contemplating on whether she should stay in town or not, then it should be because she wants to be with Barry, and it should not be because she brought up the fact that if you're the Flash or not, tell me and I'll stay, don't tell me and deny it and I'll leave, and I'm leaving. It didn't fit right. It didn't sit right with me. It really unsettled me, the way that was handled, the way it was done. Despite the emotion behind all of it, that was great, the way it was executed. I just didn't like the reasoning behind it or the justification behind it. It didn't make sense. And then when she made that false alarm call, calling Barry, saying that there's some guy on a train with a gun, basically freaking him out, and then coming as the Flash, and then she tells him, no, it's a false alarm. It's like, okay, did you really need to prove yourself right that badly that he was the Flash before you had to leave town? It's like, why couldn't you let it go? You're not going to stay for him as it is, so why do you really need to not only worry him and make a false alarm call like that where he could have been somewhere else in the city saving someone else, and just, it didn't make any sense, and it felt like it just didn't, it left Patty leaving, in my eyes, in a negative way. It didn't make me miss the fact that she was leaving. It actually made me glad that she was leaving. If she was going to react the way that she did, or retaliate the way that she did when coming to this secret, I'm glad she's gone. I really am. That's about it. That's like the big peeve. And another big peeve for mine this episode was the fact that Barry still went to see Erebarkthon when he was in his pipeline cell when he was specifically told not to. I mean, I understand Barry's need for answers from the very man who is going to kill his mother, but that's just the thing. He hasn't committed the crime. It's not like he asked the season 1 version of Erebarkthon. It wasn't like he asked those questions to him. He was asking all these questions of things that never happened yet to a man who never even done any of those yet. So it's just kind of like, really, you couldn't let this... I understand why he couldn't let it go, why he needed the answers from the horse's mouth, I guess you can say. And because of that, we did get a few answers from him about why he was obsessed with becoming the Flash and everything like that, but just like timeline-wise and consequences and stuff like that, it just didn't seem like a very smart move for Barry. And it's just like, you've already come this far, you already know the dangers in rupturing the timeline, and yet you make a move like this. It just, I don't know, it was annoying. And while it did serve its purpose one way, it was still thought of as could it be avoided somehow. So there's that. So what will I remember most when I look back on this episode? The Reverse Flash returning. That's a big one in itself right there. So let's get on to random questions quickly. I did mention Hunter Solomon earlier. So my question is, what is the significance behind that name? I know there is one, and normally I'd look it up, but I'm afraid that I'm going to look it up and then find and read more than I'm supposed to about it. So there's that. And also, wasn't the name brought up back on Arrow back in season 2 with the whole Mirakuru storyline? So yeah, if you have an answer about that, or if you know where I can find spoiler yet not too spoiler-ish information about Hunter Solomon, let me know in the comments below, or even if he's even connected to Jay Garrick itself. I'd definitely love to hear about it in the comments below. Another question. Is anyone else confused by the whole timeline events thing going on again? Or is that just me? Is my confusion completely justified because it's just because I haven't read the comics? Or is time travel in itself relatively confusing no matter what fandom it appears in? I mean, I keep wrapping my head trying to figure out which version of a person affects which part of the timeline, and if anything happens to that version, then this happens or that happens, and it's just like all that crazy stuff. So if you have a solid understanding, or if you know a certain site that has a solid understanding, please let me know in the comments below with a link if you have one. I definitely need to read up on it for sure, or make my own diagrams with connecting lines and everything. I'm definitely gonna have fun figuring that out for sure. So moving on to predictions very quickly, I briefly went and checked out the promo for episode 212, and apparently a few things happened. We have Wells sabotaging Barry's suit through, or he's sabotaging his speed through his suit via that emblem thingy on his chest. We also see Iris getting hurt. I think it's with a shard of glass or something. And she gets hurt because Barry isn't fast enough to save her. So that's definitely going to cause some psychological damage for Barry in itself, and for Iris in a physical sense. And apparently the metahuman of the day is going to be one made of tar. I think Cisco called him Tar Pit or something. So there's that. But on an overall standpoint when it comes to predictions, my first one has to be, since Patty left town with the knowledge that Barry is the Flash, I think she will be brought back later on in the season to be used as a hostage against the Flash. I truly believe that if Patty had left town without even knowing that he was the Flash, then there was a very good possibility that we would never see Patty again. However, since she is going with the knowledge that he is the Flash, she's definitely going to be brought back and sometime in the future, and she's going to be used as some leverage or some hostage against the Flash once whoever takes her realizes that the Flash is Barry Allen. So that's one prediction. Another prediction / question though is Eobard Thawne. Will we be seeing him again anytime soon? Since this was the first visit of Eobard Thawne from the future coming down, I think we won't see him again, because technically the next time we would see him would be when Barry's 11 years old, starting up that whole story of his that we've learned in season 1. But what do you guys think? Let me know in the comments below. You never know with this show. We could be seeing him again like we did today when we thought he was completely dead. So there's that in itself. But actually, another question though. So this Eobard Thawne that we got to visit today, that was Earth 1 Eobard Thawne, correct? Or was he Earth 2? I'm thinking it's Earth 1. I think. I'm like 80% sure it's Earth 1. But once again, let me know. Clarifies a few things for me. Definitely appreciate that. Another prediction, Hunter Solomon. Will we be seeing him again? I want to say yes, because I don't think they would have went through all the trouble of actually showing him to us at the park. because if they just wanted to show that he's under a different name, they could have easily brought up his birth records, birth certificate, or some kind of online account of him and just shown that his photos with the Hunter Solomon name. But instead, since we actually got to see him at the park and everything, I think that may be an indicator that we will see him again in the future. So there's that. And that's the last of it. So what did you guys think of the episode overall? Did you like the return of the Reverse Flash? Was it what you expected at all? Let me know in the comments below. I'd love to hear about it for sure. Also, if don't forget to like this video, subscribe to my channel if you haven't done so already, and check out any other Flash videos I have or any other videos for any of the shows you also watch as well. And don't forget to leave a comment below, like I've said before, with your own thoughts, predictions, and observations, or if you just want to talk about any theories. I love to hear about them. Let's start the conversation and keep it going. I always love talking about stuff like this. So, yeah, so don't be shy about that. And also, if you want any more information about The Flash, whether it's episode promos, sneak peeks, episode synopses, any of that, I reblog it all on my Tumblr page. A link for that will be down below if you want to check it out. I've organized it as best as I can, so if you want a specific character, specific episode, anything like that, you can definitely check out the links for those down below. And for anything like that. Also spoilers too, though, just to be aware. And I believe that is it. Yes, that's it. So thank you guys for watching. I truly appreciate it. It means the world to me that you're just coming to check this video out and seeing what I have to say. And I hope you guys come back to see what I have to say in the future. So until next time, this is Mel. Wishing you all a great day, great week, wherever you are. And be safe. Bye for now.